Hey everybody, it's Dana with Engadget. I'm here with the HP Spectre 13 Ultrabook, and believe it or not, this is the first Ultrabook from HP we reviewed in, I don't know, about a year or so. Pretty long time. So HP's caught up to 2014. It has all the specs you'd expect in a modern notebook. So we're going to take a look right now and see how it stacks up against the competition. So as you can see, this is all in the eye of the beholder, of course, but I think at least that the Spectre 13 is a pretty good-looking machine. What's interesting about it is that when HP was designing this machine, they looked to other luxury items for inspiration. In particular, they looked at luxury cars. That's why you have sort of this brown car seat interior-like lid over here with this, what I would call champagne brushed metal palm rest here, and altogether it does look like a fairly expensive machine. It feels like one too. The build quality is really good. If I dip the screen here, if I am just using the touch screen, I'm not wobbling the screen, which is actually a problem on a lot of more cheaply built Ultrabooks. Just to give you guys a quick tour of the hardware, if we start here on the left side, you've got one of two USB 3 ports. You've got a headphone jack, full-sized SD card reader. Nothing here on the front, just a very thin edge. And then here, you've got USB port number 2, you've got a mini display port, full-sized HDMI port, and the power adapter. And not all of them have a full-sized HDMI port, so that kind of makes up for the fact that it's so thick. The only thing is that with a machine this thick and sort of this relatively bulky, you'd expect the battery life to be a little bit better. And it's not terrible, it's just fairly average for what it is. It's 8.5 hours of runtime. That's what we got on our looping video test. And that's really not bad. It's pretty in line with other Ultrabooks. The other thing is it's up against Ultrabooks that are thinner and lighter. So for the heft, you might expect it to last longer, but it doesn't quite. We happen to have a 1080p display option. That's what you get standard when you buy this for $1,000 but there is a 2560 by 1440 display option, should you be willing to pay the extra fee. So the keyboard is, for lack of a better word, sticky. That means that when I'm typing, my key presses don't always register. So sometimes I'll be typing and I'll realize that I'm missing a letter that I thought I typed. So I'll have to go back and retype what I thought I had already typed. So that gets a little annoying, and that still happens even though I've been testing this for weeks. I think you guys will adapt to the keyboard, but you should still expect to make some typos sometimes. Probably the biggest Achilles heel for the Spectre 13 isn't even the keyboard, but the touchpad. And it's kind of peculiar because HP actually put a lot of care into designing the touchpad. In particular, it has these touch zones on both the left and the right, and they have a different texture than the rest of the touchpad. And when you do this, it's supposed to be a dedicated zone where you can do those Windows 8 gestures, like what I just did, or where you're swiping in from the left to change apps, or again with the charms bar. That works well. The thing is, it works well on pretty much every touchpad for every Windows 8 machine I've ever tested. So you don't really need this. It's a little bit of a gimmick. The problem is that the main surface itself offers a lot of resistance, and it's a little flaky. It's really unreliable. So sometimes, you know, if I'm scrolling with 2 fingers, it just doesn't work the way I want to, and then I'll have to drag my cursor to the side of the screen and do it that way, which is not really how you want to use the browser. Or I could, you know, scroll up with my finger. Otherwise, performance is really fast. The SSD inside has both fast read and write speeds. It's the write speeds that usually slow down other Ultrabooks, but not this one. Startup time is about 10 seconds also, and in benchmarks, it slightly beats other Ultrabooks with the same specs. So performance is really good on this machine, especially for this price. A couple other things you should be aware of. In terms of software, this has just a little bit of bloatware. The McAfee security software that comes on here is a little bit annoying. All told, there's not much pre-installed software. What you will find is a full version of Adobe Lightroom, which is really unusual to open up your machine and have a full version already installed. What's even better is that the standard warranty is 2 years instead of 1 year. So you don't even have to upgrade to 2 years. It just comes with that $1,000 starting price. So all told, between the software perks and the warranty and the low price, a lot of that might offset some of the bad points for you, especially if HP can get around to updating this trackpad. So that's been our walkthrough of the HP Spectre 13 Ultrabook. As you can see, it's not a perfect machine, but for the price, $1,000 and up, it's a pretty good buy.
This is showing how it would look looking through the glasses, and it's using motion